Okay, so let's see this question on an odd one out, and it says that his idea to use sign language was not a completely new idea, as Native Americans use hand gestures to communicate with other tribes. So we need to look for that. Who is this? He is right. So ये his किसके लिए है? Now ancient Greek philosopher, and it's talking about the using of the sign language. Okay, I'm saying that it's not a new idea. Someone else were also doing it, right? Now, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, for example, observed that men who are deaf are incapable of speech. Okay. Now, this is the opinion of Aristotle, and they say that who are deaf are incapable of speech, right? कि जो deaf है वो speech भी नहीं कर सकते. Now, by the time that we get into 1 and 2, we should get a rough of an idea that this is talking about to use sign language, and this is talking about deaf are incapable of speech. So maybe there is a contrast that has been coming across. So maybe, most probably, either of the two could be the odd one out, right? Now, people who were born deaf, okay, we got an echo word, right? Deaf, were denied the right to sign a will, as they were presumed to understand nothing, because it is not possible that they have been able to learn to read or write, right? So this sentence also talks about the deaf inability to learn to read and write, right? Now they say pushback against the prejudice began in the 16th century when Pedro Ponce de Leon created a formal sign language. Sign language, we got our echo words, okay? So most probably this his is actually used for this, because sign language. So 4 and 1 kind of becomes a block, right? So pushback against now this prejudice. So that means that in case if these two sentences are exist, then the prior sentence should be talking about some sort of the prejudice, right? Now, pushback against this prejudice began in the 16th century when Pedro Ponce de Leon created a formal sign language for the hearing impaired. Now, for millennia, even people with hearing impairments encountered marginalization, because it was believed that the language could only be learned by hearing the spoken word, right? So, 1, 2 things that we get in the bucket is definitely the 4 and 1 gets into the lot, right? Now we need to see in the 5, 3 and 2. We can need to find out the two sentences that have the similar sort of an idea, okay? And the similar sort of the idea is being given by 5 and 3. And moreover, the 5 and 3 actually talks about the prejudice also, right? So by that reason, the two becomes your odd one out, right? Because the observation by Aristotle in option 2 is unrelated to the rest of the sentences, right? So rest of the sentences are basically talking about that in case if you're deaf, okay, you have that hearing impairment, right? Then again, it was what was the prejudice was that key you cannot learn, okay? You cannot learn how to communicate, okay? But later on, we can see that there was a guy who actually began with a sign language, right? So that's the case, and that I mean, the 5, 3, 4, 1 could be one of the logic, right? And that's the case that the two is an odd one out, right? Because like it's not fitting in, and secondly, it's actually talking about the opinion of someone, okay, not just the general man, right? And moreover, we can see that the 3 and 4, so people who were born deaf were denied the right to sign a will, as they were presumed to understand nothing, because it is not possible they have been able to learn and write. So pushback against this prejudice. So 3 and 4 again is a very strong block, okay? And then we can say that the idea of language, so 3, 4, 1 becomes a block. Now it's out of the 5 and 2 that we need to figure out. The 5 also talks about the kind of a prejudice, right? So the statement 2 is a misfit here, right? I hope you got this.